Okay, so thanks all. I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Lily Markle, Senior Account Director with CoreNet Global New England. And we have Karen Hood and Avery Stankus with CoreNet Global New England as well. And we have our two out of the four committee co-chairs of the Leadership 2.0 program, Holland Nickerson and Denise PA. And so I'll pass it off to Holland and Denise after I cover a couple housekeeping items. So first off, thank you for your interest in the program and for making the time to dive into these best practices. We're going to share some tips and tricks for making your application the best it can be. So before I hand it off to our committee chairs, I wanted to share some housekeeping items. So a reminder that the deadline to apply to the program is next Friday, June 30th by 5 p.m. Eastern time. And I will share the link to apply. I'll drop some links in the chat. Bear with me as I multitask here. So first, the link to apply is the Google form. I'll also share, if you're looking for more information, some testimonials, an overview of the program, there's more info on the website. And then we also highlight and summarize all of that information on our brochure, which is the third link I've shared there. So an overview of the program real quick. The cost of the program is $2,600 and lasts from the beginning of September until around the end of March. And there's a total of 6 sessions. So plus I'll show you the calendar in a moment, but we have kind of pre and post sessions. Before the kickoff session is a caliper assessment and coaching. And then at the end of after the final session, we have case study presentations. There's also a graduation at the chapter's annual meeting on March 27th, where you'll be celebrated and basically joined by the entire chapter, and you'll receive a diploma of sorts. And yeah, before we dive into the more specific criteria, I'll just flash my screen and share the session calendar with you. So we have our 2022 or 2023-24 program calendar. As I mentioned, we start with our caliper assessment and coaching, which kicks off around the end of August, beginning of September. Then we have our kickoff session, which is in person. So this caliper assessment and coaching is virtual. I should mention it's the only virtual session that we offer in this program. September 11th is our kickoff session. All of the sessions are between 2 and 3 hours, located in Boston, usually around Financial District or Seaport area. Session 2, we've actually nailed down a date, which is October 18th. Session 3, we're still nailing down a November date, and we will update this brochure, reshare it on the website and with you all once it's confirmed, of course. We have our January through March dates as well, so we'll be updating this brochure very shortly in the next 24 hours. So session 4 will be January 24th, Equitable Leadership. Session 5 is actually February 7th. If you're looking at your calendars now and deciding whether or not your availability matches up. Session 6 is actually February 28th, so not March, but end of Feb. And then the case study presentations, March 14th. Our annual meeting or the graduation is March 27th. So again, this will be updated and reshared with you all. We just wanted to give you kind of a quick overview of the calendar at a glance and share some of those dates to be fully transparent. So a couple more housekeeping items. We do require in the application a professional reference and a letter of recommendation in order to qualify your application. And finally, while you don't need to be a member to apply, a member of CoreNet, that is, you will be required to join as a member if you are accepted into the program and to remain in the program. So that's just a lot of information up front, a lot of the logistics. And with that, I'll turn it over to our committee leaders to share more of their insights into what we're looking at for criteria and the application process. But first, I wanted to see if that all sounds good to you, and if there's anything specific this group wants to cover or any questions you have before we dive into the details of the application. So I'll open the floor if anyone wants to speak up or drop anything in the chat, questions or points you'd like to cover today. Or if that all sounds good, then give us the thumbs up.
I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So Holland and Denise, I'll turn it over to you.
Great.
All
Thanks
right,
so
go
much,
ahead,
Lily.
Denise.
Yeah. So I wanted to make, this is important to us. Obviously, Holland and I and our other co-chairs that couldn't be here for it today, we are very passionate about this program. And both of us, both Holland and I, are graduates of the program as well as being co-chairs. And we had such a great experience individually and part of our cohorts that we wanted to get involved in the planning. And we take feedback from the group very seriously. So that's just something that we're very glad to have you folks here to talk about the program and have this be a dialogue. So feel free to shout out any questions or anything else that you'd like to hear about as we go through it. But I think for us, we really wanted to make this an easy process for you and give you some insight, as Lily said, to be transparent, because again, we both applied for the program ourselves. We've been there. We've been through several cohorts together and listening to the feedback of the groups that we've been involved with as they've gone through the program and tried to refine the program and again, make it easy to apply, take out any hesitation or trepidation that you might have about applying, and also to make the program as valuable to the folks that are participating as we possibly can. So let's just, Hall, if you want to just jump into a little bit about the tips and tricks. I think when you see the application, I think it's pretty straightforward. But we really wanted to encourage folks. It's really hard when we get a lot of great applications and we'd love to accept everyone. And we just encourage folks to really make it personal, to really, I know everybody's busy, to take some time to really be thoughtful about those more open-ended questions about why you really want to be a part of the program, what you're looking to get out of the program, that those are really, it's not a numbers game to make these kind of decisions. It's really about feeling that connection as much as we can through the application and hearing your voice in the application. So that's what I wanted to make sure I gave as kind of a tip for the group, is just to really take that time to be thoughtful. It doesn't have to be a long answer, but make it from your heart and what's really important to you, what you're looking to get out, and why you really want to be a part of the program.
I think my point would be, the folks of you that are on this call right now are the ones that were interested in the info session. We have quite a few applications already that felt like they've had colleagues or other people that already went through the program. So they're like, we know what we're getting. We don't have any questions. Or I've had people pull me off to the side, and one was actually today, and their comment was about the time commitment, and they were a little concerned about the time that they could give it. And honestly, we came to a discussion of maybe in a few years would be the best time for them to apply. So from a time commitment, I mean, you see the dates of the classes. I know we say 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to tell you to plan on 3. I tell you to plan on 3, not because we can't get some of the lessons done in 2. It's because the collaboration that comes from the cohorts in the class keeps us till 3 o'clock. People get into it, really into it, and really connecting with each other and inspiring each other and creating more dialogue than expected happens every single time. So we anticipate that. So yeah, we put 2 to 3 hours. I just, in my own experience, I'd say 3, keep 3 in your head. The other thing is I'm a big stickler for this. So I'm going to say it up front and I'll remind everyone, but there are no phones in this room. If you feel like you're going to have to look at your phone quite often or open up your laptop, this isn't the class for you. It's really important. The feedback we've gotten from past classes of those have done it's been really distracting when they're trying to engage with some of the top talent that we're bringing in to get in front of you to provide the lecture or provide the engaging information and just some of the study. It's really, really important that you're fully engaged and in the moment and that you can commit to it. And then there's outside of work. There's outside of class work that happens. I can tell you what my class did because you've got your case study at the end. Because I'm type A and hyper organized, I'm going to say gently forced my cohort of 4, where I set up 8:30 Teams meetings from, for probably about 8 weeks. We'd meet every Wednesday morning at 8:30 in the morning, from 8:30 to 9 or 8:30 to 9:15, whatever that looked like, for our case study. Not your individual classes, but when it comes time for your case study. You don't have to do that. You guys can work in your own cohorts to find out what works best for your pack. But for us, I just want to make sure people do understand that there's the case study piece of this is what pushes you a little outside your comfort zone, standing up front of people, learning about the lessons of presentation, thinking through things, engaging an audience. It's a portion of what this entire program looks like. So we're intentional about different topics to keep you engaged and move you forward as a leader. But then there's hot seat moments, and those hot seat moments are where you learn more than you can ever possibly imagine. And I can tell you, everyone gets uncomfortable, but the unanimous feedback that we get through that presentation part, through the case study part, is every single time it's a 10 out of 10. So we recognize that there's a little extra work in there, but to Denise's point, we want to be super transparent about that, because your time is valuable and the program is important, and it's only successful. It's what you put into it.
And just to take a step back, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, just so folks know, around the case study, you will be assigned a group of your own, as Holland said. So we usually accept between 12 and 15 folks into the program. So we'll break that down into groups of 4 or 5 that will buddy up throughout, the whole program duration. And as Holland said, to map out a strategy around what the case study topics, and in the past years, we've actually been opening that up more to choice. So there's a little collaboration about, what topics we may put out there, or allow folks to choose the teams to choose their own topics. And it gives you that opportunity, as Holland said, to really dive in together and have that opportunity to really put into action the things you're learning actively in the classes together. Because that's really the intent, is at the end, is that you can bring together the things that you have learned and use that moment to shine for yourself and as a group, and have that support of your group throughout. And it also, I think, deepens that relationship, the relationships that you're going to grow through the program. I think Holland and I both feel really strongly about that too, that in addition to what you're learning around development and growing leadership and helping you to create your own development plan per se, which I love about this program, is that you can also make it very individual with the executive coaches that we have at your disposal. But also those personal relationships, you will keep those after this, if you choose to go through the program.
It's true. There's not one friendship that hasn't come out of this, and people still talk to each other, and then they meet outside of class to this day. It happens with all of us. Yeah. Denise, I'd like to scratch on the caliper and the executive coaching piece.
That'd be great.
So this is my passion, and I get most excited about it. And Kirsten, I feel like I've told you about the caliper 100 times. Have I? I feel like I've done that to you, because I can't even get enough.
She doesn't get a commission, people.
I don't, and I should, because this is the most amazing part of the program. So what happens is you get a link, and it's an assessment. Okay, it's not a test. It is an assessment. And it takes about an hour. You need to do it with your, we brought into our own organization. Our EVPs are going through it right now. And they're a mix of like cursing me and hugging me, because it is like a revelation. It is a revelation when you take this assessment. The assessment comes back, and the executive coach that we've hired will meet with you one-on-one virtually. Denise and I and the CoreNet family, we don't get any of this information. This is for you only. It's up to you whether you share it. You can keep it private for the rest of your life. It makes no difference to us. It's not for us, it's for you. Mm-hmm. So Vonda is who we've engaged with, and she essentially reads back the assessment to you, and you will be thinking, is she a witch? How does she know these things? This is insane. Like, oh my God, she's nailing it. And the thing about this is, I always share mine because it's so true. My urgency is so high that I will run people over so fast, no one knows what just happened to them. So for the teams that work for me, that is a lot, especially if they're not as highly urgent. So through Vonda, through that executive coaching, it's sort of like, this is how people receive you. If you want to get this out of them, these are the tools that you need to practice and put in place as a leader to be able to move the ball forward or to get what you need out of people. And that's just one example. So everyone is different. Everyone has their own fingerprint, right? Your caliper is your own. It's about you. No one's is ever the same. But Vonda helps you work through that executive coaching piece of it to bring to light how to best highlight your skills. And then some of your best skills are what people struggle with you. So it's like, how do we use those great skills and soften them so that others can receive you, right? Or opposite, it's the, listen, you need to be stronger in this area, and here's the skills to do that, and here's the tools. So we've never had anyone walk away from that and not say that that was one of the key parts of the program. We are bringing in more of that difficult conversation, right? Because everyone is in that. It doesn't matter where you are in your career, to be quite honest. Having a difficult conversation is something that people need practice on, patience on, and a little bit of a key skill, if you will. And the one I think that Denise and I love the most, and I think I would say feedback from last year, was the DEI, believe it or not. We brought in Dr. Donita Mosby Tyler. I don't know if any of you were able to join that presentation that she gave in the COR showroom last year, but she knocked it out of the park, created dialogue and conversation. We were able and so fortunate to bring in the Leadership 2.0 cohort in class to have a one-on-one 90-minute session with her. And they didn't want to leave the room. And I had to be the bad guy to tell everyone to get out the room and start networking and talk to other people, because she was life-changing. So those are just a couple small examples of the incredible impact this program will not only do for you from a career perspective, this is going to affect your personal life. This is going to affect your personal relationships, and it's going to create long-lasting friendships, like Denise had already touched on, within, the program itself.
Yeah. I think the other person that I really want to highlight is Liz Bruner.
Yes, thank you.
So she's our executive coach. It's really a bookend. To get Vonda Mills at the start that does the caliper. And again, this was built on feedback from our past cohorts that they wanted to start the program with more of an assessment tool that could help them to do strengths and weaknesses. And that really lays a good foundation, again, to build that development plan as you're going through the program. And at the end of the program, we have a double hitter with Liz Bruner, who really looks at executive presence, presentation, your personal brand. And if for those of you, I'm sure a lot of you remember Liz Bruner from when she was on TV locally here, and she is just amazing. I can't tell you how impactful her two coaching sessions at the end will be for the class. And she will really put you on the spot. She knows her stuff, and she really imparts that knowledge in a really high energy way. So, and we purposely put that at the end before you do your presentations, because we found, again, through feedback, that is the most impactful that we've, for the classes, because you really get pumped up. She helps you to go through your paces. You could even do a mock presentation with her. And it really just helps people to feel that much more comfortable stepping into that final presentation. So.
And I think I'm going to add to the piece, Denise, too, of, so it's clear that Denise and I love this program. I can't get enough of it. We get excited every year. We're like, oh my God, we get to do this again. And it's a lot of work on the back end, but it is like a pleasure to do it every single time. I guess one of my tips and tricks would be less of a trick, but more of a tip and an ask is, this class is built for vulnerable people. You come in and you share, and it changes the whole dynamic. And so the more open you are early on in this program, it's the same thing that it's the saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, we expect the same for Leadership 2.0. What happens in this class, it doesn't leave the class. And we're not talking about content, like we're not copywriting things and saying that you can't talk about it. But what we're saying is, for the class that comes in, there's a code, and the code is, if people are going through something and they share it, if they're talking about something private within their company and they're in a trusting place and saying, this is where our company struggles, because there might be some competition in here. And it's important that we all understand we're in here as leaders. We are not in here as competitors. We are not in here as customers. We are not in here to do business development. We are in here to learn, become better leaders together, and move the ball forward for ourselves and our company. But all of that secret sauce, it really, really can't leave. And I think that's why we've been so successful as well. I'm sure you'd agree, Denise, that people really come in and they're like, you know what, we've got that silent agreement. What we learned here, we're not using against each other.
I know that's overused, but it is really a supportive environment. And that's what I wanted to make sure everybody heard, that is that the coaches everyone, the committee that's there, we're all here for you. And you'll find the folks that you're in the class with all, it's a cone of silence, right? But we're here to be supportive. And the other thing too, and this is just a personal soundbite, that we all are really good at our jobs. You know, you guys are all high performers, and we know that, you know, the folks that come into the program, that's why they're there, to take the next step in developing their careers. But it really, I say that it pushed me further than I ever expected, because when you're doing your job every day, you're in your comfort zone, but this really takes you to a more personal place that you would never have that opportunity. So it's a very unique opportunity to take yourself to the next level. And so just wanted to say that.
And I think we are working on those stats. We don't have them yet of how many people have been promoted since they've taken the program. I mean, Denise and I both have. And so it is tried and true. You know, we can put our money where our mouth is on it. It's an incredible investment and unbelievable experience. So we love it. Does all that gushing and love fest initiate any other questions that you may have?
That answer your questions or concerns or anything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do have a quick question. I've done a program that I actually think Corey was in with me together for IADA. And so another like leadership type program, but it didn't have this like team project at the end. Can you explain a little bit more about what it is?
Sure. So the foundation of it, and I see that Laura has joined us. Laura Walsh is our other co-chair as well. But you know, the foundation of the case study was really based on kind of an MBA format. So it was really, we usually take topics that are obviously leadership focused, but it's a real world example per se of something that's either going on in the world or going on in the world of real estate, something you could really sink your teeth in, and you are looking to analyze that topic. And it's really, again, you have a broad window as a team to develop that topic in any way that you want. Again, but to be able to showcase everything you have learned from a presentation perspective and leadership perspective and all of that. So it's kind of a broad answer, but we really, every year the topics have been very unique, and we want them to be kind of, again, almost pulled from the headlines kind of topics that will have impact for folks, and that you could find the material, because we don't give you the material per se. It's you're out there kind of doing your own research as a group, and you can formulate that topic in any way that, again, will showcase your best and what you've learned in the class, really. And we're here to help Q&A that, and obviously lend support around that. So, but I hope that answers the question.
Well, and as an example, just to like get everyone into the example. So
Sure.
last year a team did, they decided to present on Patagonia. And what they were talking about, the leader within Patagonia, is how they started and why they started. And then they moved into why they made the decision to become an employee-owned company. And then they moved in to talk about what that impact, social and environmental impact looked like, and why they made that choice, and how interesting in that choice it made their stock price raise. So it was like this full, it was about leadership and why that CEO and why that leader chose to do what they did. And it was a pretty invested story that they crafted and they executed very well. And with that comes the visuals, it comes the presentation, because all of us here are professionals. In our world, there are moments we have to present, and we have to present up, and we have to sell our ideas, sell our story, sell to a client, sell internally, externally, everywhere, right? Like it happens for all of us in some way, shape, or another. So like I said, last year, one of the examples was Patagonia. Another one was Etsy, and they talked about the success and failures of Etsy. Not everything is a success story. And then why did Etsy go a certain direction? The year before we talked about, Denise, remind me of the name. What was the coach? Was it the Marlins? It was a woman, the first woman coach for the Marlins, and her leadership style, and how did she get there? And what did that support look like? And what was
kind of like breaking the glass ceiling kind of topic around, and there were a few different options that were given to the class to select from. Right. And Holland, in your class did Jeff Bezos, right? Amazon.
We went like 12 different directions with that. Like that was, we were like, how do we rein this beast back in? Like,
no. It's kind of fun. When
And
I
I'll
did
tell you
it was Market Basket. If you guys
Yep.
can remember back then when Market Basket, this was like, I'll say about 7 years ago. So,
And then your favorite, Thanos. That
yeah,
one you could come
Theranos,
back to.
that came back to, I think she's now been indicted. So that was kind of a study of the Theranos leadership and that failure. So a lot of interesting topics, but again, we've broadened that so that there's some choice and some voice and some differentiators that not everybody's presenting on the same topic. Makes it a little more interesting.
Does that help like further define that, Amy, a little bit, just
Yeah.
like for clarity?
It does, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be maybe real estate focused or if it was going to be, in other leadership like programs or small like things that I've attended. It's more like emotional intelligence or something. So I wasn't sure where it was going to go and how it was going to work as a group. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked, because it's literally nothing like what I thought
Right.
it was potentially going to be.
We stay
So-
away from the real estate piece of that because
Yeah.
you all know your business better than anyone else. This is not a pitch for your business. This is a, how do we push you outside to think differently, present differently, and get you all on the same level playing field, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm coming from a furniture
Right.
perspective and Corey's coming from a manufacturer perspective with furniture, but I'm the dealer and you're as a designer, like we know our world. We know how to like work together to like do the pitch, but what you don't know how to do is get into the inner workings of Patagonia and figuring that out. And how are you guys going to work together to look at that differently, right? So
Yeah.
that's the whole point behind it, of keeping it more generic, but putting you in the hot seat to figure it out. And it's not about real estate, and that's intentional. Now I would tell you, we have gotten feedback of the, man, if I could have presented what I really know, well, no kidding. Of course you
Right,
would
we
kill
can
it.
all do
Of
that.
course you would
Yeah.
kill it.
Yeah.
Now, the feedback we got from a bunch of people were like, wow, I'm rethinking how I'm going to present to my client next time based on that, because now I know how to do key differentiators that I had never thought of doing before.
Mhm.
So there is a method to the madness, and it actually works. Any other questions? That was a good one. Denise, we're obviously amazing at our jobs here.
I guess, I guess we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, we did a great job.
Well, we
All right,
also
what do you
wanted,
think? Go ahead.
I was just thinking that we could give the time back, certainly, and you know how to reach Lily. If more questions do come up, feel free. I'm sorry, Lily, I'm offering you up to, if folks want to touch base with us again as you're putting in the application, if you have any other questions. And I think we also wanted to offer up, we do have some other participants and past graduates of the class that are equally passionate about it, that have offered and to talk with folks. So if you are interested in that, reach out to Lily and she can connect you to some folks if you do want to have more one-on-one discussion about their experience, if that's helpful.
Yes, please do. And we will follow up again with that updated brochure with the confirmed dates of the sessions and this recording, so you can watch it again if need be, and come back to us with any questions you have leading up to next Friday's deadline.
Awesome. And please ensure that whoever, if someone needs to approve this for you, that they're aware of the dates, because it's a commitment. We can't have all of a sudden of, oh, my boss said now I need to go to a client dinner that night.
Yeah, that's a
It's
great
like,
point.
we have had that before, and it's like we're trying to be clear up
We
front.
know
There
life
is a commitment.
happens. Yeah, but I think, Holland, thank you for reminding me, because I did want to say this isn't a virtual class. Like, we had to do that. Unfortunately, Holland's cohort went through it during the COVID period, and we've just found that it doesn't work as well if we can't be in the room together. So when you do see the dates, please make sure that to the best of your ability, you can come to every class and be there. And when you are assigned that group, that you can be there for your group, because they will be relying on you too. And that energy that you have together is so important to the success of what you'll get out of the program.
And here's questions. No, they're not recorded. There's no way to get you information. There are not typically a bunch of handouts to hand you. The notes are taken in class. So it really, if you're not there, you really kind of miss the class, right? And we do, like, again, you can't control if you end up being sick. Like, we certainly understand. We're just being transparent and forthcoming of, there isn't a wonderful something to give you if you end up missing the class. It's sort of like, it's
the
kind of,
experience in the room,
yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we
Right.
hope that you are all.
We're
Oh,
excited
yes,
to
John,
see
did
you
have a
all.
question?
Well, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, we appreciate your
Thank you.
time today. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
And we're
course.
hilarious and so much fun. So don't worry. It will also be.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's also
a
fun.
good time.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Everybody.